How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government. So,
okay,
actually,
I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
We're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here,
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting
Israel.
Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator.
In a heated viral exchange, Tucker Carlson asks Ted Cruz, how many people live in Iran? And Ted Cruz doesn't know. And this is going massively viral. It's got 20 plus million views. Of course, it's a preview of Tucker Carlson's interview with Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz has smacked back, calling it silly. But my friends, Tucker Carlson is right about his questions. Now, by all means, there's a debate to be had over whether or not we get involved if it is true Iran is developing a nuclear weapon. Now, Tulsi Gabbard came out several months ago saying that I believe the statement was, we talked about this the other day with Jack Posobiec, there is no intelligence that they are building a nuclear weapon. However, they are enriching uranium greater than they would need to if they were just going for nuclear power. Now, many people who are anti-intervention and don't want to be involved with Iran are saying this is definitive. They're not making a weapon. While others being a bit more nuanced, saying, no, it's that we didn't know at the time. Now, Trump has basically smacked down Tulsi and Tucker, saying he doesn't care what Tulsi said. And he made fun of Tucker for not having a TV show. Oh, boy. Made fun of Tucker for not having a TV show. And Tucker Carlson now has 20 plus million views. So we did play a little bit in the beginning, but I do want to play the full thing, and I want to comment on it. So this is a preview. It's 1 minute long of an exchange between Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz. Listen to this in its entirety for those that missed it.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah.
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay,
it's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the one who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that...
We're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay.
That's important. This is all very, very, very important. Now, I got a lot to say on this one. Let's grab the news from Newsweek. Ted Cruz hits out at Tucker Carlson after interview moment goes viral. Ted Cruz has accused him of trying to play a silly game after an interview segment regarding Iran went viral on X, racking up over 14 million. It's now over 21 million views. So, Donald Trump, when he said maybe Tucker should get back on the TV and people will listen to him, holy crap. You know, I got to say this at Trump. First, I like the guy. I like the job he's doing. But I got to say, that was a weak dig. A weak dig. Maybe if he gets on TV. Why? Because the key demo ratings for Fox News are 300,000. I mean, that's not bad relative to a lot of YouTubers. But for cable TV, Tucker just did 21.4 million views on this massively viral clip. This is the medium by which thoughts are shared. And Tucker, I got some criticism, but Tucker just advocated against intervention better than we've seen anybody else just by posting on X. But let's talk about this conflict, my friends. Now, Ted Cruz has made other statements. We've got this in the Examiner. Ted Cruz sees Iranian nuclear hit on U.S. electric grid, millions killed. This is from yesterday as well. But first, and we'll get to that, let's address what Tucker is saying here. I will say this. Let's do a compliment sandwich. Okay, you guys know what that is? Tucker saying immediately you don't know anything about the country is a little heavy. And someone tweeted at me saying, this is classic Tim Pool move. This is what he does. He asks you fact questions until you can't answer it and then attacks your knowledge gap. Well, I mean, that's technically the truth. My point is, I've done this several times as it pertains to Ukraine. And I got this wrong last night. I thought I got it wrong when I thought Mariupol was actually an oblast and city, and no, it's just a city. So that was my bad. I don't know everything. My point is, I'll be debating somebody. And, I just recently had a debate with someone, and I said, Russia basically won at this point. The fact that Ukraine is bombing internally in Russia shows they're not trying to advance the war front. They're trying to create internal pressure on Russia, which is an insurgent tactic, not a battlefield tactic. That indicates that Russia has effectively secured the land bridge into Crimea. They argue with me and say that's not correct because Russia wants everything. And I say, what are you talking about? They invaded through the east, through the Donbass. And then something happens where somebody says something like, they're not holding the Donbass or whatever. And I'm like, they are. What do you think the Donbass is? And ultimately it turns into this. Can you name the oblasts in Ukraine that Russia has captured? And they can't. And I'm like, okay, can you name a single oblast in Ukraine? And they can't, which is nuts because it's basically just the names of cities. Like there's a Kiev and a Lviv oblast, and there's a Zaporizhia and Donetsk. And it's crazy that I even know. These are basically states. It's like I know about the regional jurisdictions of Ukraine because Russia wants to capture this. Now, here's the point. I don't want to get into Ukraine on this. My point is, and then I said, if you can't even name a single oblast that has been captured by Russia, what are you arguing? You don't even know what Russia is trying to accomplish to argue that I'm wrong. So it's not so much that I'm trying to just exploit a knowledge gap. I'm saying my argument is X. You tell me my argument is wrong, but have zero information to refute it. What Tucker is doing is slightly different. Tucker is saying, how many people live in Iran? And then Ted Cruz says, I don't know. This is funny. Tucker says, you don't even know anything about the country, which is hyperbolic. Okay. It's a bit over, just because I don't know the population doesn't mean he doesn't know anything. And Ted obviously takes issue with that. But Cruz goes, what does it matter if it's 80, 90, or 100 million? As if to imply, and it's clever, politician move. He didn't know. He just assumed it was between 80 and 100 million. No, he said he didn't know because he didn't know if it was 20 million, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Now, Tucker is correct to point this out, albeit a little heavy-handed. The reason this matters is if you're a senator and you're saying we should remove that government, 92 million people, you will create one of the largest refugee crises we've seen in 100, 200 years, potentially one of the largest mass migrations of human beings on the planet in history. You will create one of the worst civil wars this planet has ever seen. That's why you ask about population size. And then it's funny. He's like, what's the ethnic makeup? And Cruz is like, it's mostly Persian. And he goes, what percent? And then Ted just goes off. And I think that's a little unfair because it looked like Ted was about to answer. But I got to be honest. If you asked me about this like minutia trivia on the ethnic makeup of Iran, it's like it's patronizing, although to be fair, you've got one of two moves, Ted Cruz. You guys remember the Aleppo moment when Gary Johnson was asked about how he would handle Aleppo, and he goes, and what is Aleppo? And the interviewer was like, you're kidding. Yo, you want to be president of the United States and you don't know about the civil war in Syria destabilizing the region and a city that's getting wiped out, Aleppo? Now, Trump would have handled that masterfully because he's a salesman. So the interviewer would say, what would you do as president about Aleppo? Trump wouldn't go, I don't know what that is. Trump would say, listen, everybody wants to know about Aleppo, but I'm telling you, Americans care about jobs. First and foremost, our priority would be jobs. We'll deal with Aleppo when we can, but jobs matter more. And then Trump would coax context out of the interviewer as to what he's talking about. Trump could even say something like, what do you expect me to do about something like Aleppo? What would you expect Obama to do about it? And then they might say, well, we have contemplating troops on the ground, and now Trump has some kind. See, Trump knows how to navigate these things. Ted Cruz, he had one of two options. He could have played something like that as a direct fact question. And Ted Cruz could have played the, don't patronize me. How dare you? We are not here for 21 questions. We are here to talk about a nation that may be destabilized. And I'm not going to sit here and be quizzed as if I'm on a game show over the minute details of the population, et cetera, and could have played it off better. I got one for you. Ted, you know what you should have done? The moment he asked a question you couldn't answer, you should have went, ooh, I'm sorry, Ted. I'm sorry, Tucker. Can I use your bathroom? Then you get up and say, I'm sorry, I'm just feeling, is it okay? I'm gotta go. When you gotta go, you gotta go. You know what I mean? And then you go to the bathroom, you pull up your phone and you Google all the facts. Then you come back out and say, sorry, where were we? Continue. And then you know everything. You see, there's tricks you could do. I'm half kidding, by the way. I do think Tucker was a little heavy-handed, but I think it's fair to point out this senator who wants to be involved in a war couldn't answer a basic question about the population size, which is important. The Examiner says, Ted Cruz sees Iranian nuclear hit on U.S. electrical grid. What? Ted Cruz is raising concerns that a nuclear-armed Iran could easily kill millions of Americans with a surprise attack on the electrical grid. One of a handful of worries the Pentagon has recently focused on. I've seen the projections. An EMP that took down the electrical grid could result in over time millions of deaths in America. A congressional EMP commission has warned that those in the attack zone would die within a year from a lack of food, healthcare, and chaos. Okay. Here's my real fear. Not that Iran launches a nuclear missile, but that they create small, dirty bombs and low-yield explosive devices that will emit an EMP that can irradiate areas like a dirty bomb, and they give it to a bunch of wackaloons. And these wackaloons in the region start ruining everything. I mean, like, the land will be irradiated for decades. That's terrifying. I don't know that the U.S. has justified our involvement. Israel's begging for it. They're flying billboards and banners. And Ted Cruz just gave a masterclass on how you actually stop and break sentiment for intervention. What I can't say is this. Tucker certainly is tremendously influential. And if Tucker's goal is to prevent the U.S. from getting involved in a war, it doesn't matter his tactics. It matters that he won. Now, we're hearing that this interview is, the whole thing's like this. It's going to be coming out later today. It might already be out. I'm not sure because we record these a little bit early. But the rumors are the whole interview is like this. So we'll see. Smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Everyone. Maybe you've got a second cousin. You know, you never see him. You barely met him. But you can text. Say, hey, you should watch Timcast. Follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all in the next segment.